And today we'll be talking about 26 years of unbroken civil rule, reflections on Milestone. Yes, 26 years of unbroken civil rule, reflections on Milestone. Today, Nigeria marks a milestone, 26 years of unbroken civilian governance since the end of military rule on June 12, 1999. This date, now our official Democracy Day, honors the resilience of Nigerians and the sacrifices of heroes like Chief MKO Abiola and countless others who fought for electoral integrity. In decades since, we've conducted several national elections, each a test of our democratic institutions. Notably, 2007 and 2015 marked peaceful shifts of power at the ballot box, signaling democratic maturity. But the big question is, what does 26 years of democracy look like for the average Nigerian? We've witnessed advancements in digital governance, local council empowerment, and youth political participation, and our civil society movements. And a tech-savvy youth continues to shape the democratic agenda. Yet, democracy in Nigeria has had its challenges. Rising cost of living, insecurity, declining voter turnout have tested public trust, and many are questioning, has our democracy delivered real dividends? And today we'll ask the tough questions of what milestones define our democratic evolution? Where has democracy fallen short in delivering better lives? How can we secure a more inclusive, effective, and trusted democratic future? And well, we've seen so many issues lately. Yes, I mean, just this administration alone will face so many of these challenges, and so many persons are wondering how much longer would our democracy survive this. We've had some neighboring countries who have enjoyed democracy for a while, and then all of a sudden you see them breaking into getting back to military rule. But for Nigeria, it hasn't been so. And we are wondering, with all of these issues that we get to deal with daily, well, how feasible is our continuity? The legacy of continuity, have we really achieved that? The strengths and shortcomings, how are we able to address all of these issues? Civic space and citizen engagement. Just this morning on the paper reviews, we're talking about protest. How some Nigerians are saying that they'll be out there protesting because they feel that 26 years of democracy hasn't done so much for Nigerians. Talking about them protesting against insecurity and civic space, the issues with the civic space, citizen engagement, and all of that. Economic development and the impact that it has had on our nation. What can we say that we have truly achieved in 26 years of democracy? Our democratic norms, our governance culture, has anything changed? You know, also talk about the path forward, the way forward. Nigeria's democracy was severely weakened by the civil war and centralization of power during the military era. The conflict helped concentrate oil revenues in the hands of army officials and seeded a powerful, wealthy, and often corrupt military elite. The dictatorship militarized Nigeria's political space and disrupted the flourishing of democratic institutions and culture. While democracy has had several benefits, for many Nigerians, it seems to have few benefits. Between 2015 and 2022, the democratic elected government of Buhari presided over worsening security, continuing corruption, and to recession. Nigeria became the poverty capital of the world, consistently ranked as one of the world's most corrupt nations. Anyways, and after that, the EndSARS movement showed the democratic dynamism of young Nigerians, and technology has helped demands for better government to transcend old ethnic, religious, and linguistic divides. However, EndSARS did not produce a political party, and in many ways, its separation from traditional politics was its power. But it showed a hunger for better democracy, better representation, not less, among Nigerians, and the solidarity among Nigerians, and enormous population of young people. We all know that Nigeria needs more young people to engage with politics, offer new ideas, and run office on issues which affect all Nigerians, from employment and security to climate and energy policy. Nigeria also needs its youth committed to the kind of long-term civic activism and community organizing which expands the narrow focus on electoral cycles, strengthens democratic institutions, and delivers long-term change. The main challenge for these young Democrats and future politicians in Nigeria's clientelist party politics, which is mostly a contest for power to distribute patronage, is that sustaining democracy in Nigeria will require more than just free elections. It will also mean ending a system in which corruption is not tolerated but widely encouraged and hugely profitable. Well, we were out there asking questions, asking Nigerians how they feel about democracy in Nigeria, what they have to say about democracy in Nigeria. Well, we'll get to bring that to you shortly so that you can see the response from the people. I don't know if we have any of those clips ready. Let's hear what the people have to say about democracy in Nigeria. 26 years of unbroken civil rule. What do the people have to say about that?
Democracy means the right of every citizen to be able to vote and be voted for, to voice out their opinions or who they want to lead them in the country. Because most of our current elections these days, they tend to be biased. We end up going through all the processes of getting the voter card and voting, and then they don't follow the procedure of the results. Normally, we wait for the poll, the counting and everything. Nowadays, it's not like that. We just sleep, wake up, and we are hearing this is our president or this is the person in charge. So, for me, it doesn't work anymore. So,
I've never casted votes before. Because I feel like my vote won't count. And during election, I believe you know how the crowd is. There's always crowd there, and passing through all those stress, going through all those stress, and at the end of the day, so why stressing myself?
Nigeria is not practicing democracy. Nigeria is not a democratic state because they don't practice democracy here. The last time I checked, they say it's government of the people, for the people, and by the people, right? But now, the government of the INEC, by the INEC, and for the money mongers.
Based on how everything is going in this country, although I've never been a political person, but with the current regime and the way things has been going, I don't think there is anything good about the democracy that's forthcoming. No, I don't think so. Though many people have their different view and perspective about things, but personally, I don't think our votes count.
All right, well, you can hear from Nigerians. So many persons have been wondering how exactly Nigerians feel. And from the look of things, so many Nigerians feel this way about our democracy. And it's quite sad. Taking a look at that video, you saw some persons talking about how they haven't had to participate in one single election because they don't believe that their vote even counts. And then we've had some who talk about the stress and some who feel that, well, the votes don't count. You go to the polls and then you vote, you get home, and then the next morning you hear that a winner has been announced and you don't even show how they arrived at the number or the figures that have been announced to us. These are some of the issues, and we always talk about what we can do right, what we can do differently, and we understand that people already feel this way about our institution, about our democracy. But then is there anything that the government are doing? Is there conscious effort from the government at making the people feel better towards welcoming their ideas, towards loving the fact that you should vote, you have to vote? If we have principles that work, if we have elections that can build people's trust once again, trust me, the next polls you will see thousands of Nigerians being at the polling units trying to vote. We saw that during the last election, where during the presidential election, for some places, you could see the large turnout. So many persons wanted to cast their votes because they felt that casting their votes would make their votes count. And after the election results were announced, it turns out that, well, some of them felt disappointed at the result or the outcome of the elections. And during the governorship election, we saw how that played out. The low turnout, so many issues. The democratic process, while we understand that, yes, we have to celebrate that we haven't had it broken for 26 years. It's been going smoothly. But then, what does that say about the right so far? We can't say it's been a smooth journey because, of course, it's had so many challenges of insecurity. You go out to vote, so many people are talking about being harassed while voting. Back then, we used to have ballot box snatching, even though all of that is no longer here now. We used to have ballot box snatching. We used to have voter intimidation, voter apathy, so many of these issues, vote buying. It's not enough to just practice democracy. I think we should look out for practicing the best type of democracy. And how can we achieve that? Civic education and local polling access. There should be civic education. People should understand the importance of voting. Maybe it should be also taught in schools. I remember back then in secondary school, we used to have social studies, and then they would teach us about voting, and it was just light. Nobody ever made it seem like, well, this is an important process. Maybe if more attention was paid to that, people would understand how important it is to vote. We require this civic education for us to know that it is our right, and that we don't have to give up. You had a challenge going to vote. We had from that video, you could see the lady talking about how she would rather invest her time doing something else and go stand on a long queue for hours trying to cast her vote, only to get probably disappointed at the end of the day, and standing under the sun with a large number of people. So with civic education, we could understand that, well, these are some of the challenges, but it should not discourage anybody. And then local polling access, that should also be encouraged. You know, if you have polling units closer to you, and then if they are smaller, you will be sure that, if you are sure that this polling unit has only about 100 persons, you will be sure that when you go out to vote, you don't have to spend hours just trying to vote. And then we should try to strengthen institutions. There should be independence for INEC. So many persons talk about how they feel about INEC and the elections, all the issues that we face during the elections. You talk about INEC, always talking about logistic issues, they talk about issues of security, issues of the ad hoc staff, low turnout, and then some of them even cancelling on election day, and then some of them not being properly trained. So these are some of the issues. If INEC can also do better, our institutions have to be strengthened. INEC in particular, we have to make sure that they are independent. And then talking about independence, I'll also mention the judiciary. Our judiciary, they have to be independent. We have to not... Let's have elections that it ends at the polls. If we trust INEC enough, let the elections end at the polls. Let all the results end at the polls. Let us not have issues of, okay, after elections, we're having so many litigations, so many legal battles, so many persons contesting the elections, going from one court to the other, from this court, appeal court, that. And then before you know it, so many things are just, so many distractions. We have, for most administrations, you have them for the first year of their tenure. They are battling legal crises, they are battling legal issues with the elections, they are going to court, so many persons contesting the election result, all of these issues. And then you hear Nigerians talking about how the judiciary, they are not even, it doesn't seem like they are on the side of the people. We have to truly understand that the judiciary is independent, and we have to fix our security. Election is a democratic process. If it gets peaceful, we wouldn't have the military around or driving around because, well, they feel that for some places, there might be insecurity. People who are agitated, people who are angry, people who are trying to just have one sort of corrupt practice or the other, just flooding the place and making people lose confidence in the entire democratic process. We should discourage that. And also, greatly try to tackle corruption. We have to enforce, we need stronger enforcement and citizen participation, and we have to find a way to enforce that. Although the National Assembly had proposed that people who do not vote should have, it should be a crime to not vote. They should maybe be jailed. I don't know how they brought that up, but I think that wasn't welcome at all. People who don't get to vote should be jailed for that, or it should become a crime to not vote. Well, while we understand that, yes, we all have to vote, but it still has to be something that, yes, it is free. You have that free will. You can choose to vote and choose not to vote. But if you decide to vote, you have to vote the right way, and then we have to make sure that votes count, first of all. So it's not about trying to force people to vote. You have to make them believe in the process. You have to make them trust the process. When they trust the process, when they believe the process, the next election you would see the entire crowd rolling out to come out to vote because they trust the process. So it's not about enforcing people or trying to force people to vote. Yes, there are so many ways to encourage citizen participation, and one of those ways is to make sure that votes count. Make the process seamless. All right,